All right, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Courtney Sweet, and it is a bittersweet moment for the Big West. Our Deputy Commissioner, Rob Halvaks, is leaving us. I'm joined by him today. First of all, Rob, thank you for joining me. Let's go back at the beginning. What were the goals that you had when you started as Deputy Commissioner?
Well, I came over to the Big West Conference in 1992 from the Freedom Bowl and Disneyland Pigskin Classic. And that was at the ground floor of the Las Vegas Bowl. The very first Las Vegas Bowl was the first big event that Dennis and I did together. And as you know, I came into the conference at a period of time when there were a lot of different members in the league than there are now. So the goal kind of shifted in the first few years. It was football oriented. When the Las Vegas Bowl went to the Western Athletic Conference with the departure of UNLV, we moved the game up to Boise and created the Boise game. So there's kind of a laugh around the college athletics and the football world that Dennis Farrell and I are the proud fathers of two bowl games, and neither one of us are in the football business any longer. When it became clear that California, the UC and CSU schools were going a different direction, our focus shifted to creating a geographically sound basketball conference. There were a lot of naysayers, I will say, with the concept of an all-California league. It was kind of a negative when people would say, oh, that's just a bus league. But I think in today's world, with travel being as complicated as it was before the pandemic and certainly is now, we probably are positioned better than many conferences to be competitive in a conference footprint that works. So it's been a very good marriage to have the split between the UCs and the CSUs, and then, of course, the University of Hawaii.
Yeah, well, I think if you consider the proximity of the schools, the travel that Hawaii brings in, it kind of evens it out because of how far they have to travel. In your 28 years, what are the things that you're most proud of as a whole with the Big West, with Commissioner Farrell, that you've been able to accomplish?
I think our resiliency. I mean, we went through a lot of changes in the 90s and the early 2000s when it came to membership. And the fact that we were able to continually reinvent ourselves as a conference and maintain quality in a variety of sports. I mean, obviously, men's and women's basketball are at the forefront with our basketball tournament, but with the successes we've had in men's soccer and, of course, baseball over the years, and women's volleyball, and obviously with the newer sports like beach volleyball, we're at the prominence of that. And it's because we were able to reinvent ourselves with good institutions and good intentions. So I think that's the biggest thing for us is every day, every year was a different year for us for a period of time because we had members coming and going. And now we've kind of settled into a great 9-team league that'll become an 11-team league with both the addition of Cal State Bakersfield and UC San Diego. So another continuing step in the reinvention of the Big West Conference.
Well, you mentioned baseball, women's volleyball. Let's throw men's volleyball in there. Yeah. There have been quite a few national titles during your tenure. Any stories, any fun moments that relate to any of those national titles?
The moment that I'm most proud of, and it really wasn't about winning a national title, but to be around teams that were going to the final stage of an NCAA tournament for the very first time. And I remember distinctly in 2016 when UC Santa Barbara had a great run in baseball. And obviously the UC Irvines, the Long Beach States, the Cal State Fullertons had been to Omaha in the College World Series. But this was UC Santa Barbara's first trip there. And to be embedded with them in their team hotel for 4 or 5 days as they made their run with a win in the first game of the College World Series before getting knocked out. I mean, that was exciting to see a team doing it for the first time. And that's also, I think, what struck me too. I've been unfortunate to be part of a lot of NCAA basketball events, but to be in Dayton in 2017 when UC Davis beat North Carolina Central, their men's team's first team to the Division I men's basketball championship, and they get a win and to be invited into the locker room with Coach Les. Those are the moments I remember.
I love that. Any other moments that stand out? They don't even have to be sports related, but just during your time, it could be something from the office or relationship, anything that stands out to you?
Well, this is a relationship business. So I think everything that Dennis and I have accomplished together since 1992 has been because of relationships. To tie the Honda Center a little bit to it, Tim Ryan, the president of the Ducks and top executive of Anaheim Arena Management, which runs Honda Center, he was the event coordinator when Dennis and I were doing the tournament from the Long Beach Arena in the 1980s. And it's through those relationships that we got going with the NCAA regionals we hosted, and then moving on to actually bringing our tournament there. My first tournament was 1980, was at the Anaheim Convention Center. But the way we got back there was because of relationships. We had a relationship with Greg Smith, who ran the convention center in Anaheim, but we got to know him in the early 80s when he was an assistant box office manager in the 80s. So to me, this business has always been about the relationships, the television relationships, our ESPN relationships. Some of the executives at ESPN that we work with now are folks we knew with Raycom Sports and other entities before ESPN became the player that it is. The nice thing about conference work is that you have no team to root for most nights. So it's just your staff and the game officials. A lot of times that's your team on the floor. So it's kind of fun that when the staff gets together and can go someplace to watch a team play in a national tournament and actually root for someone for a change. So that's kind of fun too.
This job for you, what has it meant both professionally and personally?
Well, I think personally, it's been a great opportunity. I mean, my family has grown up in around athletics. My wife, Jill, worked at UC Irvine for years. We met there at UC Irvine. My two sons, who are now in their 20s and 30s, they grew up around sports and being part of Big West events, NCAA events, UC Irvine events. So personally, we kind of grew up with the Big West Conference as a family. And the Farrell family, we've known them since 1980 when Dennis started in the conference. So his two sons, my two sons, they grew up together. So it's been a real personal family atmosphere. Professionally, it's what I've liked about it the best is that every year was different. A lot of people would say, well, it's the same old thing over and over. But we've been blessed with new partners, different partners, blessed in a way as the membership changes occurred. So we almost, every year for a while, it was a new set of folks, a new set of circumstances, and a new set of issues. So it was always refreshing. And I've always been the person that always liked to make the deal. It wasn't so much about seeing the end result play out, but making the deal. So creating the bowl games, creating the NCAA championship opportunities at Honda Center, moving the tournament around, the television deals, that was what was fulfilling for me.